Everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party. I'm a buddy Rhett. We already did one video. We got it was a user to lose it. Basically, my thing is I think that AI is probably being a scapegoat for the economy. Everyone's like, oh, the economy's collapsing. It's AI's fault. AI is taking everyone's jobs. Don't think that's true. I think the economy is failing because of just over leverage. I think we have way too much debt in the system right now. But that is not why we're here. Yesterday, right at the end, we're trying to finish up the unit testing to get to 100%, and we're close. And I kind of had to bolt because had to start work. But the overall arc of what the story that we're kind of trying to accomplish is we've added like the ability to add a visualization, and we've added the ability to read a visualization, but we don't have delete yet. And I want to get delete working, and then I would like to get update to begin the update process. Like, I think add and delete and are kind of, when they're done, they're done. But update is really the whole. Honestly, if we're being real, that's the whole idea of this entire application, is to be able to create cool visualizations, which are all updates to visualizations. Um, so that is what we're working on. So I to wanted to kind of set up like a way to delete, and I came to the conclusion that I think what we want is to have like a tabular layout with a delete button next to it, instead of trying to figure out how to get it in this layout. This is more of a view of the overall design of all of the of all of the visualizations. Because the idea that what I really would like to get to is to be able to have like a bunch of visualizations that are sort of doing their own thing. That are kind of doing their own thing, but you know, so anyways, because I always like the, I feel like one of the best challenges is like the eclipse. And the idea I would love to have is like to be able to have like a big visualization with a little visualization, or maybe six little visualizations with that's showing an eclipse from different perspectives. Perspectives. But as part of the process, I wanted to explore the concept of using more testing in my software development. And that has very much slowed everything down, without a doubt. But I do think that I feel more comfortable and with the code than I did before I had all these tests. Things kind of would just kind of get obscured. Um, but I have one test that we kind of copied over from ChatGPT, and and um, and it's failing on the actual, like when I look here, it's saying it's failing on line 141, which is the actual test. So I'm just going to comment that out and just see if it passes now, or if there was some other problem. It really doesn't do a lot. Like literally all it does is put. Oh, and I guess yeah, well, no, we're getting our first visualization. Okay, so it does pass now. Um, and then I don't know, let's go look at our results. And it looks like we're getting hundreds all the way through. Yeah, we are getting hundreds all the way through. So it's being tested. We're passing this, we're setting the visualizations of this, and then we're saying, give me the first empty visualization. Um, and I think it's to be undefined. Maybe maybe I remove, because I know I was kind of working line by line. Result to be, I think it's supposed to be um, this mock empty viz, and I don't know if that'll work, because that is the first empty viz was our empty viz, and that does work. It looks like we are at 100%. So if I could have stayed on a little bit longer, but I was really tired yesterday. I didn't know how tired I was, but like it is. I know that like Friday morning I woke up like after about 7 hours of sleep. Just woke up and I was like, oh, okay, it's time to get up. So I was sort of getting wound up. I was starting to get kind of wound up. Like nobody's fault. I just put in a good a hard week of work, and work is work. As much as like your boss could try to make things nice for you, and as much as you can enjoy the work you do, work is still work. There's no denying that. Um, but I was just tired. I was sort of at the end of my work week, and I had sort of put everything I could into the work week, so that I was out of gas. I was just out of gas because this was pretty easy to figure out. But I did kind of run out of time too. Um, but now we're back. We have our 100% um, testing, unit testing. We're only a couple minutes into this video, so it probably makes sense to at least try to get the end-to-end test done so we can commit this code. And I think once this is done, like what? Okay, so the goal was to have a new layout, right? So that it was vertical, but we've been running into bugs. And the bugs is because we've run into novel scenarios that did not exist before. And now they do exist. Um, because you can kill an entire outer component that has these things. And then when you bring it back, like that didn't used to happen. There never used to be the concept of a component being brought back and the visualizations existing already, because the visualizations were created within the component, right? So another way of putting that is like the component, that the outer component, the custom layout component was the chicken, and it had to lay the eggs. There was no way that you would have eggs before the chicken. But now we've got it to where like, well, the old chicken's gone, and now we brought in a new chicken, and there's 2 eggs already. And so now the new chicken has to know how to take care of the two eggs. If that seems like a pretty um, good thing. Do we need? Oh yeah, we need the spy on, because as a side effect of spying on it, it creates the first dysfunction. Um, so now technically we could kind of combine these. We could say mock empty viz, upsert viz for component, and then this result, and then expect result to be equal to true. We could do that and get the 100, but I think it's probably better to separate these two out. I don't know why. Just my gut, and I just don't really want to dig into it. Control S. So we killed our unit tests, and now we want to. I guess we should get rid of any of its artifacts. I guess artifacts would be the right word. And we'll say npm run Cypress open. And obviously that like is some real weird, like that's not, if you're an English speaker, that's just not going to feel natural. But there are other languages where that would feel a lot more natural. But yeah, npm run. Let's see, and then Cypress which so npm is the function that we want to use, and we want it to use the run command. We want it to use the command that it has. It's called run, and then we want it to run Cypress, and then we want Cypress to run the open command. I think that's how you'd break that in English. But I mean, into our vocabulary, English vocabulary. But I think the way we'd say that grammatically is like use npm to open Cypress. And maybe, I guess maybe in our packages we could, let's see, package.json. So the reason it's like that is because we set this up right here. So yeah, we could actually say, I think we could, yeah, we should be able to say open Cypress. And I do think that would be probably a little bit easier, but then I think it would make like it might be a little harder to read, like if we add a new thing, like let's say we added some new third party and we want to run that thing. See, I do think open Cypress would make more sense for English, but I guess you're also kind of trying to stay in sync with this, because this is npx Cypress open. So I don't know. Anyway, so let's run this thing and look at our unit test. I think all it really should do is there's one of the tests. Well, we need to make sure they all pass. So, while we're here, we just click them all, make sure that we haven't broken any kind of the keyboarding or anything like that. And but I think there's one test that tests resize, and I feel like that is the test that it makes sense to then go to the other, click on this thing, and then click on it a second time and check to see if everything is still where it belongs. Did learn a lot along the way about the timing and stuff like that, and scoping, and the way that Angular destroys components, and how you could, if you have a reference to the component, that component still stays. I was under the impression for a little bit, just based on the early experiments, that, oh my gosh, no, it actually destroys it even if there is a reference to it, which I was like, well, that's pretty next level, because that's just not the way JavaScript works. But they could make that work that way under the scenes, I guess. I know there's something called like weak links or something like that also does, like, I think lets you destroy the underlying component. But basically, one of the most, there we go. Okay, so that passed. Okay, so this is just checking to see if there is a viz. I guess it would be nice to have like a console log right at the top that just explains exactly what we're doing. But this just checks the spacing. The spacing, at least for the very first two visualization works. This one is the inputs, so it checks inputs. I mean, the way, the keyboarding. Probably should have called that keyboarding. 004 keyboarding. But now this is the one I think will be. Although we see, it also would kind of make sense to add a bunch. Well, so I think that's all done. And then this one checks routing. Basically, all it's checking is to see if these things are where they belong. So I think that maybe it makes sense. I mean, why do I even need the key to click? I think all I need to do is go to the the uh, basically do what this one does, and then double check that the let's see that the I believe what this does is it will check to see that these are in the right place. That the last one of the last ones, are in the right place. Um, but I feel like there might be somebody in my house right now. But the dogs are not going insane. I heard someone. Oh, it looks like my son is visiting. Um, so I guess yeah. So that'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll hop hop over into. I'll resize. I'll as part of this. I'll go to the next. I'll go to the tabular layout and then return back to this layout and then check that this this visualization has the correct position. Um, I think I don't know what it kind of seems. It's kind of like this isn't so. Oh, so here's where it found 16 of them. Found 16 here. Oh, then it's asking about the fourth one, and that it has a top value of 200, and we can't quite see it. Oh, and it's because it's scrolled down. Yeah, so it's like that one right there. And I don't know what we have to do to be able to see it. But I should probably go visit my son. They're having a baby shower today. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.